Hello, dear viewers. Welcome back to your very beloved student podcast, Sikkim Student Spear, brought to you by Sikkim Student Wing, of course, and presented by Sikkim Supreme. And for this episode, dear viewers, I just want you to sit back, relax, and observe, and take a look at whatever that surrounds us. And if this strikes any sort of familiarity to you, then you're just my sort of person, and we might have met before, in fact. And if it does not, but you're still a sort of person who just enjoys their own company, loves reading a book or two, and just loves that intimate time, then this episode is the one for you. Because for this episode, we have brought you to not just any cafe or not just any bookstore in Zenikyo. Because I feel like, at least in Gangtok, this cafe culture is just catching up so fast. There is one cafe just a stone throw away on Zeni. But the cafe we are at here today, the cafe and bookstore, I think it has maintained this evergreen and effortless aura over the time. And to learn more about this and to explore about the story of it all, because if I'm not wrong, this has been functional since 1979, right?
That's right.
So we have with us a very esteemed person, right? And the person is Sir Raman Shrestha. You might know him as Ramanda. And he is the bookseller, publisher, and innkeeper of everything that you see around here. So, sir, first of all, welcome to Sikkim Student Spear.
Thank you so much, Hitesh.
And can I call you that, Ramanda?
Yes,
because
of
I
course.
feel I'm very comfortable with you.
Everybody's there.
Like that. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Ramanda, one very obvious question I had for you. Okay, once I started preparing also, I feel like you have always strike upon as this the silent observer, the one who just sits behind and lets the play unroll. So for a person who perceives, how does it feel to be perceived right now?
Well, this attention is definitely something new,
Right.
but it's also something that is, in the sense that, how do I put it? I've never really thought about it that way,
Right.
in the sense that that I'm being watched, or it's like, because all this while, I've been in this one place for so long.
Yeah.
I almost feel like, and this is a metaphor I have used long before also, and I still keep using. I feel like I'm like a camera on a tripod, which is
Yeah.
on a time lapse, and I've seen the world outside me change so much, right from the time that we had a very small community hall and a quiet neighborhood
Right.
to what are the way the world around has changed so much. So yeah, I've watched these things change here, being here in this place. So right now, in a sense that being noticed this way for the kind of work you do is something definitely new to me. I'm still getting used to that, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
But as you say that, I am sure the recognitions have not been very new to you, because there has been the Public Next Industry Award, right? Naming
The
this
Publishing
place.
Next Industry Award in 2015.
Yeah,
that's right.
2015.
Yeah.
So I would not say that you're new to this, aren't you?
Well, people have been kind.
Yeah.
People who visit Sikkim, we still have a very small fragment of discerning travelers who find their way to our bookshop. The industry, within the industry, the publishing industry also, as among the booksellers and within the industry, like I said, word has gone around, and that has put me in a certain place where I get to share my experience of running a bookshop at the very far end of the perhaps the republic, as well as in people's imaginations.
Right.
It's not easy to get here either, So, and also as bookshop operating so far from the epicenter of things in the publishing industry, I've managed to hold my fort, and so I think there is a little bit of respect that comes with that.
Right.
I don't know. People have been kind.
I mean, as I was researching for this place, and I mean, quite frankly, I didn't even have to research because I've been here forever, I feel. But, there was just this slew of reviews on Senikyo, like mentioning this place, almost like that Kafkaesque bookstore or that bookstore that you read about in a book on Senikyo. So I feel like no matter what, people do find their way there. It just has this magnetism, Banumna. So I am not shocked that it has garnered this recognition.
Yeah, thank
that
you.
It has.
Yeah, you're very kind. Thank you.
Yeah, and speaking of, actually, the very first formal question to you would be, is who even is Rachna? And just tell us about the history of this place, because again, as I mentioned before, it's been around since 1979, right?
That's correct. In fact,
So, just enlighten us about the history
it was
of it.
around April 1979 that we started, so it's exactly 47 years. I mean, almost to the date.
Right.
And it was founded by my family when I was very young. So I did grow up in 1979. So I did grow up with the bookshop as something which was in the background, And I mean, that was also the time when Gantok community was, I think, very small. It was still growing. It was very fresh as a part of the Indian Republic. So we used to, I mean, we had a store which was doing everything from books to newspapers to academic books as well. So that was the beginnings of the bookstore.
Right.
And now when I look at our bookstore records, we have these files at home. These are like almost archival in nature for me, because I see how the beginnings were, what were the fonts being used for our bill books and our letterheads,
Right.
Things like that. And what kind of even postcards. I mean, we used to get a lot of catalogs, and that's also something that I grew up leafing through all the time. And nowadays, of course, everything is on the internet, but back in the day, it used to be a cyclo-style list of book author price. Somebody would, the publisher would type it out, and then so we wouldn't even have book covers back then. We'll just have to go by the title, and you have to know.
Right.
So that kind of, I think, I never imagined when I was in school or in college that I'd be a bookseller, but that also kind of, that the kind of leafing through the catalogs, I think, helped me stay clued into what goes on in the publishing world.
Right.
So that was what has happened.
Yeah.
What else? I mean, Rachna is actually named after my sister.
Okay.
She's younger to me.
I hope that answers.
But Rachna also means in Nepali, it means creation, composition. To Rocheko. So that I think So it came together quite nicely, I guess, for a bookshop.
Okay. And then it was extended into the cafe, I am assuming, right?
Cafe came much later because, I mean, somewhere around 1989, things had changed a lot in Gantok in the span of 10 years. Cable TV had come in. Before that, the video VCPs and VCRs were invading our homes, so those video libraries. But eventually, I mean, things were moving fast, life was moving ahead, and people almost kind of began to forget reading as something of a leisure, and also to visit a bookstore where you don't just go to pick up your newspaper, but you also meet your neighbor, you meet people from your community, and you meet and talk about the ongoings of the neighborhood, of the state and the world.
Yeah, coming to community. Actually, I have something that we would direct into that like later, but this should give you a pretty good picture of what Rachna is. And following into next question, I think you have pretty much answered that only in the first question itself. But did you even imagine this place becoming this significant cultural landmark? Because at least for everyone who comes in, this is that cultural landmark. Like, people just find their way into this place, and if not the books, then just for the conversations, and then talking about everything and anything under the sun, like keeping up with people that you love, things of that nature. So I feel at least this place has become that community center, as you were mentioning on Senikyo. So did you at all had any assumption that it would become what it has become today?
Going back, I think so. Like I mentioned, we closed in in the late 80s, early 90s. And after I finished my education and I worked in the corporate world for a bit,
Yeah.
I knew that it wasn't working for me. I read a couple of books, a few books, and it kind of tipped me over, and one day I just resigned, and that set me out. I didn't know back then that I was already on my journey to soul searching, and
Yeah.
a few years of here and there, I did come back, and it brought me back, and I thought, okay, what do we do? I mean, it surprised me when that clarity came to me that this space in the house that I've been living
Yeah.
has always been there, but I never saw it as a space of my own
In a commercial light.
my own for my own personal reckoning. I think I didn't realize that
Yeah.
that space would be there. So yeah, I did start the bookshop, but where it would go, one can never guess. But Gangtok was changing fast. I've said this before. Like a lot of neighborhood gambling stores, online gambling had just entered Sikkim.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to paint Sikkim in a negative light, but things were changing in a way that there were liquor shops,
Yeah.
but there weren't spaces for people like me who wouldn't go to certain places because that was not me.
Yeah.
So I thought that okay, this city, this town, if there is somebody like me looking for a place like this, there may be at least 5 or 10 other people looking for a space like this,
Absolutely.
right? So that was the early imaginings with which I started the bookshop, and yeah, that was the beginnings, I guess.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, now we've had so many different kind of events under this roof, so many authors, musicians, writers, artists, filmmakers, they've come. Some say they have been inspired by this space.
Yeah.
But back in the day, that was very difficult to ascertain how it might go. But the idea was to have fun, be at it every day. And yeah, for the last 25, I have been at it every day. So, and I have not regretted a single day.
For 25 years.
Yeah.
No, but it's funny that you mentioned this, Ansani. That spear that you were searching for of people who are not into all the things that you mentioned, right? And I feel like that's exactly how I found my way here.
Yeah.
Because everywhere I looked, I still felt like, yeah, I mean, that does not feel genuine to me. And suddenly I just found myself here and it just felt like home.
Yeah, I've
can I
seen,
say?
yeah, of course, I believe it and I know it also because I've seen in these years, I've seen many people come and go. Some have come, gone and come back, in the sense that not just as a visitor who walks into a bookstore, but also as a part of somebody who join in with our lives, in the sense that I've seen small kids, school kids who would come. I mean, I used to have this big glass panel downstairs where the bookshop was before, and they would bring their drawings, and I would stick it up on that glass panel. People would come and see, and so these was early engagements with the community. The youngsters would bring their cartoons and comics, the things that they would make, and you would have to vote as to which is the best drawing, but you wouldn't get to vote on your own painting.
When was this and why was I not there for this one?
This was, I don't know, very early, early 2000s. So,
I see,
so
okay.
a lot of these, so you wouldn't get to vote for your own painting, but you would have to vote for somebody
Oh,
else. And
nice,
yeah,
yeah.
it was just a way of engaging, So I get people who are working professionals, somebody's a lawyer who remembers doing that. So it's, yeah, for me, you don't realize, day to day, you live a certain kind of life and so much time has passed, you don't realize until these youngsters, oh, Raman, chinnu bha malai and all that. I used to be uncle then, now I've become Raman uncle to Raman.
You are still that to us. Don't say that. Don't say that.
Yeah, so that, yeah, now when I meet them, it's, yeah, it's quite surprising. And in fact, people who work for me down at the cafe were born in the same year that I started the bookshop. So, it's like, it's been a very long journey. It's been a good ride. Yeah.
It's been a good ride. It really has. And I don't know, as you said, there's just something magical about this place, because how I feel every time I enter is that, when in times things feel a little too, like the reality feels a little too much to adhere to, specifically right now with so much happening everywhere.
Yes, there's too much pressure.
Yeah, too much pressure, and I mean specifically being of my age right now, you just want that escape. Like you just don't want to think about those things, and I feel like this place has just been that for me, and for many people, I believe.
People have owned up the space, and that's what I keep saying. Here I was, and here I am. I've kind of dedicated my life to create this space, bring books. So at some point of time, the community has to own up. The people in the society have to own up that space, because I'm here to open the shutters in the morning, close it in the evening. I'm just like a caretaker here. But you have to own up that space. But having said that, I think because of the nature of books, the way it's perceived, the way we are taught to perceive, look at books as a thing that is something who has a lot of extra time, extra money. It's always like seen as an expensive proposition. I don't know. So it is. I'm told that it is seen as an elite space as well, and that breaks my heart. But I don't know. There's not everything. Yeah, I mean. I wish, if I had my way, I would be running a community library, but that's not what serves, takes care of my bills as well. I also have a family to take care of. I have the families, my staff to take care of. So not everything can come like in a way that one could wish one could run. But the space is here.
No, but I feel like once you just step in and just find that courage to look around, that just wears off that presumption.
I certainly hope so.
It really does, because again, speaking from personal experience, when I was younger, I also had that misconception, because it just is so grand, and there's just something so intimidating about it. But then you step in, and then you just talk to some people, and you realize.
So that is something I experienced during my college, because coming out from a small town, which didn't have. So one thing which you don't know is like when the bookshop was downstairs. I created this space, having broken down 4 rooms, attached bath and everything. It used to be a part of a lodge that I used to run. We used to run in the family to create this space, which was an art gallery, an exhibition space. So whenever we had exhibitions, around 2:33, when school kids are going home, because we are at a cross section of a lot of schools around here. So a lot of students would be going home, coming from somewhere. I would call them in, and I would send them up, go up to the library, just have a look at the exhibition, whatever photos, paintings, and I would give them like about 10 minutes. And just as they were about to shuffle out of this place, I would come up again and say, okay, tell me which is your favorite exhibit? What did you like? Why did you like it? So it kind of, I was trying to create a space where youngsters would come, see art, see photography, things like that, and think about it, process it,
Right.
Because like my own experience going to the city, and unimaginable that we'll walk into a gallery and right. So I was just trying to recreate that. I think it was very but that also happened. So it's a space where people are welcome. I don't know.
No. As I said, if you just step in and just look around, I think people will find it right there, that comfort that they're searching for. And okay, well, I would like to also know that, have there been any defining moments over the years, because again, it's been on for ages, right? So what defining moments were for this cafe, for this space? Like, would you like to throw some light on those, if there are any?
I have very fond memories of the first events that we did, the first book readings, the first music, and it was very spontaneous. One afternoon, one tourist, very elderly tourist, walked in, and he was a big fan of Bob Dylan, and so was I. And it was Bob Dylan's birthday. So, and I had a guitar in the bookshop, so we started strumming, we started singing songs, and like one thing led to the other. People were dropping in.
Really?
So we had a little bit of a celebration at that time, but but that was a very unplanned thing. But when I first planned my event, I think that was one of the things, the gigs that we did that indicated where, what was the possibility of a bookshop in terms of having a space for the arts, as a bookstore, as a thing, because one could think, and these kind of things weren't happening back then. There was no third space, there was no cafes, there was no, that kind of culture wasn't there. What we did have was this bookshop, and we thought, okay, let's do events, like let's at least do this one thing, and it worked very well. And that kind of gave me, and somebody who's gone on to be an award-winning novelist had his first reading here.
Could you speak more about that?
Yeah, this is so Chetan Raj Shrestha wrote The King's Harvest.
Right.
It's a book with 2 novellas in it, based in Sikkim. It has been our highest selling book, and now we published it. But it also won the Tata Literature Life First Book Award. So this book is a coming together of a series of short stories that he had been writing, which was being locally published in the local papers.
Right.
But the first reading that he ever did, he says, was that event, which was also our first proper event,
Right. And
so
how many people were there? Were there?
I don't remember. It was downstairs.
Numbers.
No, I mean, it was downstairs. So you can imagine how many people we could fit. Maybe 20, 15, 20 people. But they were all close friends and people. Yeah, I mean, we had a musician from Australia, a flautist from France. I mean, I don't remember. So yeah, that was. I mean, that just became a trigger. We switched off the lights. We had candles and lamps, and everything.
Nice.
People sitting on the floor. It was a very bohemian, kind of a thing. Not thing like what you see in in these live gigs these days. Even the technology of the cameras was so, back then was so thing, like all the photographs are in a blur because we didn't have enough light. Everything like is like you just see shadows and lights, and you can only imagine what kind of
I think the kids call it aesthetic now.
Yeah, the kind of atmosphere. We pulled down the shutter so that we had nice cozy space.
Yeah.
And the musician, one was playing the flute, other one was carrying a candle and reading from a passage from Borges, and walking down this wooden staircase into the space that was a bookshop.
Right.
But I'm getting carried away because I've seen
that just sounds so fantastical. I mean,
yeah, but
I wish I was a part of that, but I think I was too young.
But yeah, defining moments that way. I mean, we've done so many film screenings. We've done shadow puppetry. We've done theater here. We've probably done Sikkim's first installation art show by a Japanese artist, where in 2 days' notice, this corner of the bookshop, we created a huge canopy of leaves.
Oh, nice.
And he had one apparatus which projected a very bright light from the top. But the thing was, we had a white carpet on the floor. We made everything in 2 days' time. And there was a soft seating around that white carpet.
Right.
And when the light was lit, the light coming through the leaves would throw stars, shadows. The shadows would, the light coming through the shadow, between the shadows, would form in a form of a star.
Right.
And we created butterfly nets, which you used to catch the butterfly.
Oh my God. Okay.
So the light was coming through the canopy. This whole ceiling was covered with leaves. The light was coming from top, and as the light moved and the canopy moved, there would be stars on the ground, and we would use the butterfly net to catch a star. So I said, let's call it Catch a Star. So this Japanese artist, was using science to create art. And so I had this huge sheet of paper, and I had some crayons lying around. I said, hey, why don't you draw something?
Yeah.
So when you come up these steps, you'll see this big frame where there's a tree, and there are these people and a dog and things like that, with stars on the ground, and they are holding these butterfly nets. So that has become one of our. So I mean, it was all, we never planned, because see, I can't afford to, in the sense that I can't afford to know who's coming to Gangtok.
Yeah.
I can't afford to fly an artist or a musician or a writer from somewhere to host an event here. But if somebody happens to be here, you want to do something, put it together. So for so many years, all we did was very unplanned but very spontaneous and very well connected events and interactions.
No, but I think this openness that you have for all these ideas is what kept that alive and growing, Anjani. This
Yeah, I mean
culture.
that's what kept. That's what kept us alive. I mean, friends would just get
Yeah.
together. I mean, moving carpets, moving flower pots, things. They just make things happen. Somebody
Wow.
would get a music system. Somebody, like, even the last event which we did 2 days back.
Yeah.
We got our music system from Tagalong. So it's like it's just a community which is growing together in this neighborhood, I guess.
Awesome. And I must say that you're a wonderful storyteller as well.
Thank you.
Throughout this.
I mean, I like to talk about myself, so I guess I've done enough in my life to share stories, I guess.
No, but it just painted such vivid pictures of all the experience that you were talking about, and it almost wishes, you almost wish that you were a part of it. I mean, I am definitely wishing that I was alive to see all that, but I'm sure things will come up in future that I will be a part
Yeah, I mean,
of.
it's a evolving thing, right? Everything is an evolving thing. More youngsters are getting involved. We have this internship program, sort of, informal, but there are college kids who've been working here for 2-3 months every year, which also has become a part of their curriculum. So sometimes they get marks for working here, and I try to. So this has been going on for some time, at least with one university here, but yeah, it's also now I'm like more comfortable in sharing, how this thing works. What's a small business like?
Right.
What is it like to operate an independent bookshop? It's a very grounding experience. Let me put it that way, because we don't have enough readers. Bookshop is always struggling anywhere in the world. I mean, of course, I've managed to create this because I love the space and I love to work in a lovely space.
Yeah.
So this bookshop is here, but there are challenges as well.
Oh, okay, but setting aside the mysticism and the magic of it, you did mention about the business and the enterprise aspect, right? Even before, I mean, we're having a conversation on this. So, could you enlighten us about how this even works as a business person? Because again, you went on from a bookstore to then a cafe to then owning a publishing house yourself, right? So, what would your suggestion be to all our young viewers in that regards? Because you were talking about branching and enterprising.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's in the sense that one has to know. Trial and error is always there, because you have to not be try not to stay stagnated. One has to think a little out of the box, I guess. I mean, these are the cliche things you'll hear all the time, but what I've done is like. So my 2 o'clock tea breaks became famous. When my bookshop was downstairs. When my bookshop was downstairs, the tea break became famous. I live upstairs. My bookshop is downstairs. I don't have a staff, so if somebody happened to be in the bookshop around 2 o'clock, it is my tea time.
Right.
So I give the keys to the bookshop to this guy or whoever the person is in the bookstore, and I say, please look after the bookstore. I'll get you. I'm going up for tea. When I came down, there will be tea for everybody. Like I would bring down tea for everybody. And that kind of word got around. Friends would come and hang out around that time, But there would also be that unsuspecting tourist who will be like looking for something, and then suddenly they are like here looking after the bookstore. So these things happened, and then that became the very early days of having a cafe, and that's how it is.
That's just so, I don't know. You don't hear about things like this very often,
I mean, It was never meant to. I mean, my friends started saying it's getting very embarrassing drinking free coffee day after. I mean, tea, So let's just why don't you just start a cafe?
Right. So that is how the cafe.
That's how the cafe came about. It was not like with like a venture or in mind. It was all about just having a space for the community.
Right. How interesting.
It was my people who were regulars. They were the ones to push me into it.
Oh, okay. Fascinated, in fact, by everything that I'm hearing as of yet. But we just have to go on with some formal questions, of course, right? So, speaking of reading culture now, because let's shift the light towards reading culture, for a minute. How do you think it has evolved over the years, at least in the context of our own town, Anjani? Like, do you see any sort of changes? Have the people been more kind to it, more embracing of it, or has it just been worsening? What do you think?
Well, if we've been around this long, surely there must be some support coming, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, people must be visiting. I mean, I can't talk about how things have evolved, but long time ago, I had these. I mean, you've seen my collection. It's not the run-of-the-mill
Yeah.
curation, right, as they call it. And somebody who was traveling to Sikkim remarked, oh, you have all these, books. These are like very deep,
Right.
deep books, and do they sell? And I looked at them and said, you'll be surprised. And yes, books people are buying, but it's a handful of people. So whether you go to a big city, you go to a very big cosmos city, it's still a handful of people who read. It's just that the handful of people who read in a small town is very small numbers.
Yeah.
But they are reading. But among that small community of people who come to my bookshop, I think 80% of them are the youngsters.
Youngsters?
Yes, people of your age group.
That is shocking because...
Yeah. So that's, not everybody has a spending power, I guess, but they have owned up the space, but they are also aware of what different, so I mean, the way I overhear these conversations all the time among the visitors who are here,
Right.
it's it's the youngsters who come and visit here.
That is just so good to hear because, I mean, we have this conversation among the few readers we can find, Unsani, and every time it's like, oh, it's not the same anymore. I mean, we just had this...
No, people like to lament with that, people will like to lament about anything, about the good old times and how it's no longer the same, but if you want to participate, then you have to be there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think that people are not reading anymore, you have to start reading. Lead by example. What's the point in lamenting, right?
Right.
There's this whole generation of people who just forgot to read because we are so new to this technology that we've let Facebook and Reels and things run our lives.
Right.
But the youngsters have grown up with the technology in their hands. I think they have the power to make discerning use of their time.
Right.
They are aware. They are making taking full advantage of what they see, what they learn from social media as well, and they are also discovering their books there. And as much as they are discovering the books in my bookstore.
No, but that is just so good to hear. And speaking of eclectic collections of book, I did also see that, because I was searching for, I remember when I was searching for this certain book for research, right? And it was Lolita, and it is by Vladimir Nabokov, and you understand how controversial it has been, right? And I did not expect it to see anywhere in town, and then I just see it restocking here. So it did take me aback, and I don't know, it just sends such a positive message now that you see it, So following up on the same question, do you think the relationship that young people have to books, is it the same as opposed to someone who is of the elder generation? Because of course this book shop has been around for a while, right?
No, I think the relationship is completely different. It is different in many ways, but the connect is still about discovering stories, learning about other lives,
right,
and universes that, I mean, each book is a universe in itself. And every book, as they say, is yelling out to you, shouting, whispering to you, or yelling out to you with a story. That's a universe within itself. As a bookseller, what I didn't bargain for is that every customer or anybody who walks into the bookstore is also carrying a universe of stories. And often at times they want to have a conversation with me.
Yeah. And that
that is sometimes for me to keep up, to jump from one universe to the other.
Yeah.
When I have my own universe running in the back, that is the fun part, but that's also where the challenge is.
No, but I think this has adopted again to everyone who comes here, because as you said, everyone has their own universe of stories with them, right?
Yeah.
And I don't see this sharing culture almost anywhere else as opposed to how much I see here, because I mean, I often find myself with a random conversation with some person I might not have ever seen, you know, and somewhere along the line we just find so many commonalities, right, or so many dissimilarities. We just, you know, respectfully disagree or agree with.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that culture I don't think I've ever seen anywhere else.
Yeah, now I see people talking to each other, and of course now I have completely, not completely, but I have managed to withdraw in the backdrop of
Right.
the setting, you know.
Mm-hmm.
People do talk to each other, but they were early on in my life. I mean, when people would come, you know, I almost felt like I was the town's agony aunt. People would come with their people would like to come and talk with their problems, but it also is, I mean, I respect that, and I deeply respect that, because if somebody's lost a pet,
Right.
they would come and cry here. You know, if somebody's
Really?
argued with their parents, they would come and cry here. I mean, there are some incidents I don't even want to talk about ever, but yeah, people have found their comfort here,
Oh, nice.
and I respect that deeply, you know. And there are some things I've seen within the four walls of this room that stays with me.
So there's a
There's
bookstore
people,
right
yeah,
here as well.
some of the people friends who know me, they call me the keeper of secrets. Those secrets stay with me.
Well, I know whom to talk to then for the next time.
Oh God.
And I hope you don't take it as a burden, but since we are talking about communities and, you know, subcultures and things of that nature, so I would not be wrong to call this that third space, right? So how important do you think is that third space for people? Because you have been that consistently, as you just told us, right?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, if people own up a space which is a space like this, and I don't just mean my bookshop now, there are other options. I mean, where do we go? Post pandemic, the world, I mean, it sort of became a, you know, a landmark point in our lives where things changed a bit, but I think we've come to appreciate spaces like this more, because we can go and you know, congregate.
Yeah.
But this whole concept of adda jamawing has always been there. You know, it's not. It's like, I mean, I live upstairs. I've been working from home for the last 25 years.
Right.
It's like, you know, this is just the kind of space it is. So
do you think
nothing
people
is new?
understand
Yeah,
that?
nothing is new. Nothing is, but it's equally timeless as well. I think what space we have here, so many people have come and passed through here.
Yeah.
Third spaces are important because you go home, you go to your workspace, you go to your workplace, you go to your, you know, institutes where you're studying. Yeah, I mean, I only rue the fact that, again, coming back, that I don't know. It's a bit of a conflict, but I mean, I can't serve free coffee, or, you know, like Allah. I mean, it's not a library. I mean, it's not something that there's a beautiful library across the street.
There
you know,
is.
for certain. But yeah, I mean, there are some. Yeah, I mean that. It's just the way it is. You know, I mean, I'm also trying to run a business. I'm not here to do charity, right? So it's I also have bills to pay. So I mean, that's the only thing that, yeah, kind of makes me think about, you know. But yeah, I mean, just the way the space is.
I get you. I really do. And yeah, so again, following up on the same topic, right? Have you observed communities or subcultures form organically within this space? I mean, leaving aside again the aspect that you just talked
no,
about.
that's difficult to ascertain, because people do meet here, and I see a lot of engagements happening, a lot of ideas being exchanged. But how those ideas are carried forward by people once they step out of here is not something I see closely. I do see results sometimes, and I do see interactions. communities, sometimes even relationships. I have witnessed some of the one of the nastiest breakups ever in the history.
Okay.
I've witnessed it here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes, I mean, you know the scene, right? I'm not here all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't have a staff. So sometimes there's a very young couple who are in an embrace when I come down, and I quickly have to like turn around and disappear because I don't want to spoil their, what do you call. But also sometimes I'm shocking to see somebody is dancing and making a reel
Oh my
in a
God.
bookstore.
Yeah.
Like, you have to please maintain the decorum of the place. You know, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
So people don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
And not to be got easily is also one of the things about this space. I mean, I don't know, you started off by saying let's break the mystery. What was the word? Demystify the place. I don't know if that is going to happen. I mean, there's too much going on, I guess.
I mean, it just has everything for everyone, I feel.
Yeah, I hope so.
There's a little bit of for everyone.
Yeah, I certainly hope so.
Because you know how I see it is like, again, as you mentioned, right? So for the people who are here for dating and all, it's quite a good date place, I feel. For the people who are just here to read, then they just read, right? But
Yeah, I mean,
at the same time,
there are more girls who are reading in Sikkim and in my place. I mean, what I've seen is then the
boys
boys.
need to
So
catch up.
and boys need to catch up definitely. If you really want to impress a girl, and make an impression, be reading. Because I mean, sometimes it's so embarrassing for me to witness that they have their first date here. The girl is looking at book and the guy doesn't know what to do, so he'll just.
I have seen that too.
Or like
I have seen that too.
just look at the phone, don't know what to do, and I'm not even like judging.
Yeah. I get what you mean. I completely do. But again, as I said, it has everything for everyone.
Yeah.
Seriously, because as you said, that happens. And then I also see that, I mean, aesthetically, this place is very, very pleasing, right? So the influencers find their way here.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, that corner is so famous, I mean, the
Yes,
popular.
it is.
I never get to see these photos. Nobody tags us.
Right.
No location, credit, no nothing. And they'll come and they'll sneak into that corner, and that's the children's corner. So I don't even know, but just because that corner is a little away from my cash counter and I don't, my eagle eyes don't always pry on what they do. So everybody ends up in that children's corner and pose with a book.
So the takeaway is, please tag Raman, okay? Please tag Rachna. And okay, so now let's just shift the focus slightly more towards the publication, right? So Rachna Publication is also a part of everything that goes on here, right? So my question is, through Rachna's publication, you have contributed to the regional voices, of course, right? So what even motivated you to step into publishing in the first place?
See, I mean, calling it, what was the thing you used? Rachna Books as a voice for amplifying
Regional voices.
Regional voices, yeah. I mean, to a certain extent, yes, but I wouldn't be able to take that credit in its entirety. But what I did see was important thing to do as a bookseller. See, as a bookshop, what happens is like, and I've said this before also, a scholar would come or somebody who's doing a research on Sikkim, our people, our community would come, our cultures, our way of life, they would come, and one of the first stops they would have is the bookshop, looking for what is already existing, in terms of books. Now, these scholars would go, their books would be, I mean, they would spend months, years doing research, and the books which get published, at least abroad, become very expensive for us.
Okay.
And also the distribution network is so broken that we don't get books on time, even if somebody is willing to pay for it. So there was a gap there,
right,
where these books needed to be accessible to our people, and especially because so many universities were coming up in Sikkim, the students should have this resource material which they can use for their own further, for their research. And that's when I thought that my role and my knowledge and my experience in the industry as a bookseller should come in, and that's how I got into publishing. And in fact, if you look at my list now, we had been publishing from before, under the Rachna Books and Publications banner. Officially we started in 2019. with the first book which Dr. Saul Mullard was very, and he agreed with, and we had a similar philosophy about that the book should be accessible to the people here. We published a book on Sikkim history, a very deeply researched book. So that was our first book, you know. So it's not just about our local voices, but anything that has got to do with our region,
Right.
which if it is within the purview of how I can do it, if I have the time to do it, if I have the thing to do it, we should publish it, you know. That's the thing.
Right. And, you know, I mean, this is my 2 cents at least, but I felt that it was so important for the town to be perceived as well, you know, because you're so, like, it's just so easy to read about other places being perceived to the point where you almost kind of forget about where you come from or how does it look right here, right?
Yeah, I mean, look at our syllabus. We never knew
Yeah, exactly.
where we came from, right?
Exactly, like I'm reading somewhere about France and somewhere about some
Yeah.
other town, right?
Oh,
And it was
yeah.
so interesting for, you know, the first time when, I don't know which book was it, but for the first time when I read about my town being perceived as opposed to how other towns are perceived, you know, certain places being romanticized
Yeah.
and certain landmarks being talked about like they would talk about some other place, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, that was so important just to shift that lens towards our town. I really feel.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we.
Yeah. And I think this has done a great job. The publications has done
Yeah,
a
I
great
mean,
job.
I am very proud of the books that I've managed to work with. We are also working with very early career scholars. So if you if you know about our book Gender, Sexual and Other Identities
Yes,
in the
yes, yes,
Eastern
yes.
Himalaya, this book came about because the series editor, you know, Dr. Mona Chetri, we collaborated on this, and we invited early career scholars to present their papers on the topic.
Right.
A selection was made, then we guide them into making a great, you know, like presentation of papers. And it covers everything from how genders are represented in the, not only in our society, but also in our literature, in our films, you know, things like that. So I'm very proud to have published a book like that.
Right.
And
if I'm not wrong, I mean, In Search of Mountain Kailash,
Mount
right?
Kailash, yeah.
It just got like the Kiko Nairoji Book Awards. It was recognized.
Yeah, so it's this is a award which so Alex McKay, again, he's such a big scholar. He's such a I mean, it's like a historian. He's so big.
Right.
He could have chosen to go to any publisher in the world, but he chose to publish his book with us because it's important to have the book available here, you know. And this is the book, The Mandala Kingdom. He is also the scholar who was overseeing the Project Denzong digitization of the palace archives, which the British Library, now it's free to, you know, it's open access on their website. So he wrote a book on Sikkim history based on his findings during the process, and we have that book. So that eventually became our second book in the Sikkim history trilogy,
Right.
the Rachna Bookstore Sikkim history trilogy. Because Saul Mullard talks about his book talks about the pre-colonial part of Sikkim's history, how the state came to be, the Sikkim as we know it, and Alex McKay talks about the British Raj. He's an expert on that as well. So the British Raj and its interactions with Sikkim, in the Namgyal dynasty, you know. And only yesterday we announced our third book in the trilogy, A Kingdom Remembered by Jackie Hills, which talks about the post-colonial Sikkim history, 70s, what happened, you know, 70s, how from a kingdom it became to be a part of India. So these were not things that we had seen before.
Yeah.
You know, if I had known that it would unfold this way, I would probably design the books in a different way too. But the stories come together perfectly, you know. So it's that's how things unfold. Sometimes you can't plan everything, but good things happen.
I think impromptu has just been the essence of
and
this
we've got,
piece.
yeah,
I
we've
mean,
got
at the end of the day.
translations. Yeah, we've got a couple of novels which have been translated. One of the books we published was shortlisted for the JCB prize, which was at its time the most coveted prize, the highest prize money award.
Right.
So this book was shortlisted. It's a translation of a Nepali novel. Lucky to be doing what I'm doing. Yeah.
No, but I'm sure that this comes with a series of challenges, as rewarding as it has been, right?
Yeah.
So could you throw some light on the challenges that it is to be doing
As a
this?
bookshop, we don't have enough readers. Books don't move fast enough, so we are always in the red. That's just the way it is.
Right.
Within the industry also, there's a lot of challenge for bookshops, especially in independent bookshops, because online shops portals have become the most convenient point for you to go to buy anything and everything.
Right.
Where a lot of deep discounting happens. In spite of seeing all this, the industry don't come to our support. There is no level playing field when it comes to selling books. That is a big challenge. As a publisher, because you're what is perceived to be a small publisher, how important it is, nobody understands. But because it's so distributing books, living where we are, my books I work with the best in the industry.
Right.
If a big publisher goes to a certain printer, I use the same printer. Editor, I use the best editors, cover designers, book designers. But when a book gets printed in Delhi and it has to travel all the way here, it becomes it's not a challenge, but it's just a part of the process, which others wouldn't have to really account for if you were situated in a big city.
Right.
So these things come into play, and distribution is a problem. There are people, so reaching out to the right set of customers is not that easy, because we don't have that kind of machinery in place which does the marketing. If your author is lucky enough to have a huge following on social media, it probably might help, but I don't know that yet, because I'm one of the few, I guess, publishers who don't look at the followings on Instagram before you sign up an author. So you have to work on their behalf to market the books.
So
that's
the
not
marketing also is something that
marketing,
you need to...
making a reel, even if you see one photo on social media that we put up, it's done by me.
Yeah.
Unless we have some enterprising on the interns who help, and there have been some really good ones to join us along the way. So everything is a challenge. You get an order online. We have a website, so when we get an order online, picking the book out of the shelf, packing it, shipping it is my job.
Right. So it's all very hands-on.
Yeah,
you're involved in every step of
if
this
one bundle
journey.
of book comes in, I'm the one to unpack it, do the data entry into the computer, shelve it. Yeah. So in a year, I probably move a truckload of books.
Right.
It's like that. That's the kind of load I carry from one point to the other. But yeah, books are not moving fast enough. Sorry to say, but Sikkim doesn't have enough readers, and that is a challenge. But that's just the way we are. So it's not a complaint.
It's an observation.
It's just an observation.
Valid. And speaking of observations, I think one big observation, in fact, has been things like AI. And I'm sorry to say, but I think this is a very important thing that we converse on, since we are tackling books and literature and things of this nature, right? So with the rise of AI and all of these digital platforms that you talked about, right, how do you see the future of reading, writing, and publishing? Do you see it evolving? Where do you see it going?
I'm having good fun with what AI can do.
Okay.
In terms of what I'm seeing.
Right.
I'm not using it. I've not used it for anything that I do as a publisher.
Has it become more of an aid, or perhaps a crutch, or something that just demeans the work?
No, it's still evolving. There's so much that it can probably do. Will it replace what I do as a human? I don't know.
I
mean,
don't
as a
think
book, I don't know as a bookseller, but
Yeah.
it is getting disturbing to in the line of in the creative field, as in terms of art, in terms of photos, in terms of what's being written and published out there. I can see. I mean,
Have there been
I
times,
will.
in fact, where you saw content and that was like, oh, that's completely a prompt, like that's not written by a person?
I can't talk about the. I can't talk about the content
Yeah.
yet, but I can tell you one incident which struck me as it struck me in the sense that there was one book project which somebody approached me with, and I couldn't take up that project because my schedule is like already. I mean, I have like a backlog. It's like a one person doing everything, right?
Right.
And that person had really loved one of the book covers that we did.
Okay.
All right, it was a digital art, but it was not AI what we did. So that book was shown as an example to the next publisher that this author went to, and they used AI to completely like repackage and copy the design, like
How sad.
everything, in the sense that the square box, a person standing in one corner, plane on top, somebody has a bird instead of a and proper beautiful watercolor.
They are getting very
And
creative with this.
and it was such a beautiful cover that it didn't strike me until one day I was placing the books on the front table, and those two books happened to be next to each other.
Yeah.
And then it struck me, wow, this is what has happened.
Yeah.
We've done this cover. We couldn't take up that project, but that book has come out in a way that is so beautiful to look at, but it was AI.
Shit. Okay.
So that is something that humors me a lot.
It humors you. Does it not disturb you?
No, it's okay. I mean, you can't change. I mean, look at all the funny things they make Trump do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well,
it's like
no doubt in that.
yeah, so it's okay.
Okay. Well, that's such a positive take on that. Okay. Well, since we are on this, right, and since we did talk about platforms and everything that we just did talk about, I do think that you will have a great insight on this. So, do you think physical bookstores, still hold some sort of value to people?
Well, as a bookseller, it naturally will, but for a book reader, will it? That's the question I'm throwing back at you, or to our reader, viewers. I mean,
Right.
yeah. What does it mean? What does a bookshop mean to you? What does your community space mean to you?
Right.
I mean, this is what I know to do. This is the only thing I know to do. So I will do it. I mean, I'll try to keep it running as long as I can, or as long as I'm around.
Right.
But what does it mean to a community which has a space like this? Will you miss it if it's gone?
I will.
Or
miss it if
once it's gone, So these are the questions that it's not something for me to answer, but for the community to answer.
Interesting that you say that. And I feel like for all the people who do enjoy reading, I don't think this is something that is very replaceable, because I think, it's like shopping, like how people see shopping, right? Some people do it just for the sake of it. Some people make it an experience.
That's true.
And I think this is an experience, and I don't think anything can replace that.
Yeah.
In fact, I would go as far as to say that it gives you this sense of humanity. It makes you feel human somehow to just go and just explore in a place.
Yeah, I mean,
be in a room full
a
of
space like
strangers.
this can work either as a space where you meet others, but it's also a kind of space where if you want to be by yourself, it also gives you an avenue to discover yourself, I guess.
It really does.
So yeah, it's your nature. It's what you are looking for, I guess.
Following up on that, I feel like this is a very valid question to ask, because like you have been an onlooker and you have just seen this experience, how this experience has unfolded, right, and how people have come and gone. Have you ever witnessed someone's intellectual or creative journey yourself? That sort of evolution, because you just mentioned that, right?
I don't know. I mean,
people come here to find that,
people
be inspired. Do you
I guess so, because many of the writers, there's a lot of writing happening around here.
It sure
Yeah,
is.
there are. I think there's a lot of writing happening. Not enough reading happening to catch up with that. And a lot of these writers have started off as readers, and just to witness their journey also is from the biggest names like Prajwal Parajuli and Chetan, like I mentioned. There are many new writers who are doing very well, very prolific. Pankaj Giri is one, Satyadeep. I mean, just to name a few names, there's so many. Just this section is all about our writers from our region.
So you clearly have.
So I mean, you just see that we've all grown together, hand in hand, as writers, as booksellers, as publishers, as translators, as editors. It's a small community, but it's a very supportive community.
How beautiful.
And it's good to see that happen.
Okay. I mean, we have talked about almost every experience here, except for your own personal experience. So do you think, just having experienced everything that has gone with the place, right, has it done something to you personally? Like, has this been place a part of your personal journey, or as you said, has this blended too much within?
Yeah, I mean, it's...
what has been the biggest, perhaps, takeaway from this entire thing that you have done?
It's a very rewarding thing to do. When you see a young kid come, run amok, find a book and take it home. A journey has started.
Yeah.
And that is something I witness quite frequently, and that's a beautiful thing to see.
Right.
And that is a reward in itself, being the kind of space it is, you'll find me working here even when we are not. It's a closed day, the day when we. I mean, the personal and the professional, as the lines have blurred so long ago.
Right.
Sometimes this takes priority over family. It has come at a great sacrifice in terms of friendships, community, but a lot of friendships and community has also been forged. Relatives and relationships, that has comes at a sacrifice on that front as well, and I'm aware of that, but no regrets. I mean, what to do?
But
you have one life, and if you find your purpose in doing what you're doing.
So this was your purpose?
Well, I guess so. I think so. Yeah. I mean, I keep doing new things, right? Like publishing is quite relatively new. It's done. It gets me quite charged up about thinking about the next project to do.
Right.
So something may come up. I mean, I never planned a cafe. Even the bookshop was like, just happened. So the journey has been like that.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but I think that same journey that you're talking about, I've seen that so impersonally as a person, as a patron here, and as someone who has introduced many people here,
Thank you.
It's just the same, you just introduce them to that book and they just ease into this place, and you just see the change that it brings in them, And in fact, few days ago when there was a book launch here, and I did meet a friend of mine, and all I can remember, because I've known this person forever, okay, and all that I remember this friend being was a very shy, a very, a person that was not willing to show themselves out there in the world. And for him to just be there, just so naturally participating in the crowd and be off the crowd and feel so in home, right? And I think that, again, if that was rewarding enough for me because I introduced him to this place, and I can only imagine how many of those you have faced. So I think this place, if not anything, I think this place has a lot of blessings. I would say that.
Thank you.
I would go as far as to say that.
Thank you so much.
And I think this would, as interesting as this conversation has been, and I wish I could go on forever, because I've just found so many plot holes that I wish I dived into more. But since it's the nature of the program, right, I think we have to come down to the last question. And the last question being, what do you hope for the younger generation to take away from a space like this? Or perhaps, what is your message to the younger people who are watching this?
Feel free to imagine a better world.
Right.
That you can do it, you can make it happen. uh, there is a place, there is a world that exists which is over and above everything that you see every day, the pressures, the daily grind, it's I don't know, I mean, people suffer and they have to, like, the pressure is from different ends all the time. But deep inside there is a space for yourself and you have to save it, and I don't know, I mean, it's not always easy, but not to forget that you are also very much, you own the space that you are using, make good use of it. Wherever you're standing, wherever you're sitting, that space is yours. Make good of yourself.
I think with this we would come to the end of this, but with an ending remark, I would just like to thank you.
Thank you.
And I thank you very deeply, because again, if there is any magic to this town and if there is any magic to life, I feel at least this place has been the one biggest place. Every time I come here, it's just magical. And thank you for introducing magic.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And I think just saying thank you would not be enough. So we do have a token of thank you, a token of appreciation that we bring on behalf of Sikkim Supreme. So we would like to present it to you. And thank you so much again.
Thank you, Hitesh.
Thank you to all the viewers. This conversation has just gone everywhere at the same time. It has gone nowhere, but I feel like this is just how the beauty of things are, isn't it? Right? I mean, waves, you never know the direction of waves, and such was the conversation. And thank you so much for whoever so tuned in, and keep watching Sikkim Student Spear. Thank you.
Voices of Tomorrow, Stories of Today. This is by the students for the students.